Rage Effect.
Rage Effect.
हेलो गाइस, आई हैव प्लेड रेज इफेक्ट गेम, जो कि बहुत ही ज़्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग गेम था। मैंने अपनी स्ट्रीम पे खेला, मुझे और मेरी ऑडियंस को गाइस दोनों को बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छा ये गेम लगा।
एंड काफी मजेदार गेम है। डायनेमिक्स गेम के मुझे काफी पसंद आए। कंट्रोल्स इजी हैं, गेम समझना बहुत इजी है। सो आई वुड रिकमेंड कि भाई एक बार ट्राई जरूर से करना। आई रियली लव द गेम।
मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंटली जो यहाँ पे एफपीवी पर्सपेक्टिव हुआ है वो काफी ज्यादा पसंद आया एज कम्पेयर टू टीपीपी। ऑल्सो कुछ एलिमेंट्स जो यहाँ पे किल स्ट्रिक्स में ऐड किए गए हैं, फनी एलिमेंट्स, फनी साउंड इफेक्ट्स, इन शॉर्ट हेलीकॉप्टर वाला, तो वो भी जो है काफी पसंद आया लोगों को।
ओपी रे, कमाल है गेम है रेज इफेक्ट। तो अभी इंडिया फर्स्ट ट्रिपल ए क्रॉस प्ले शूटर गेम खेला है और भाई साहब काफी सही गेम है यार।
ब्रो जेटपैक प्लस लैंडिंग हो पे बूम 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 बूम।
लेट्स गो, फ्रैग नाइफ कर दिया तेरे को ले।
ब्रो 1v4
ओ भाई साहब, क्या ये स्मूथ ये रोटेशन मारता है। और अगर इससे पिस्टल से मार दिया ना मेरे को, लेट्स गो।
All right, GM, what is going on, brother? Love the testimonial video. I know that you guys have been killing it out in India, and I love to see just again like homegrown kind of like, hey, people just saying like the true like how they feel about it. But I think it's just that's it, man. Like getting those kind of reactions to what they're building, to what you're building, to the region you're building in, and making sure that you have product market fit, to me is like the most important thing. So congrats to you, man. And how are you, man? How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much. That video was like mixed emotions. I haven't seen that in a minute. And I was like, oh yeah, we did used to have that, you know. So that was fun. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I'm doing well, man. How are you, Jorge? It's been a while.
Good, man. You know, markets are down, but you know, gamers don't care about the markets. You just want to play games, right? We just want to play games, and that's it, man. Like, checking markets is for those that are wanting to feel red, like the light.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
It's red light therapy, as I tell people. You know, just look at the markets. Here's your red light therapy. All you need.
I'm gonna steal that.
You know, lots to talk about. You guys have been working on Rage Effect. You guys have We Are Ascendants too as well. Lot of things are rolling out. Things are pretty massive movements coming into Q4 next year. Love for you to give us like kind of like a TLDR on like 2025 and like what's really kind of expected towards the end of the year and the focus and the balancing of the games, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for asking that. I mean, so much has happened. Last year was the biggest year by far. We had a lot of activations. We raised a decent amount of money. We went, sort of went from Web 3 to Web 2, got in a lot of users, built that user base, sort of, channeled that into creating something more regional, like you said earlier. And this year was more about repositioning our strategies within Web 3, taking a big sort of upturn. So it was a little challenging, but only in the good things, like only the good parts of it. And I think this year has been a lot of fun in terms of the direction. And then next year is going to be the year where we're actually going to start executing on a lot of that. So yeah, it's been a while. It's been a minute. You know, a lot of discussions, a lot of negotiations that take a long time when you speak with a lot of these bigger companies that are public. But it's only happy days. So yeah.
Yeah, man. I think look, I think it's one of those things in crypto. It's definitely really tough to wait, right? Patience is something in crypto that is just not something taught or even like educated about, right? And I think a lot of people are very much like, give it to me now, and I want the full I want the full game now, and it's like why can't I play it now? And it's like those are the things that people don't understand that take time. But beyond that, like you mentioned, partnerships and all that stuff, like man, I know that just even myself working in the US and working with big partners, man, there's a process, and the process is lengthy because there's so many other games knocking on the door.
Yeah.
From publishers to esports to creators, like man, there's a line. And look, I think that understanding how to piggyback off of the right marketing, right? Battlefield 7,
Yeah.
all these things, Grand Theft Auto 7. I mean, like, dude, like, man, there's so many things. I always joke around about like being on number 7 or number 8 or number 10 of the same iteration of the same game, right? It's like, it doesn't stop. Thankfully we had Arc Raiders, gave us a little bit of a different perspective to gaming, but I think we've seen a lot of it, but all of those games take time to build, and I think that's just it. And those games are coming to market, and sometimes those bigger games do take priority on the totem pole when you are working with partners. So it's cool to hear that you guys have been, again, chomping at the bit and really working on the behind the scenes of what 2026 is to look at. Like, tell us, like, maybe give us the TLDR on the We Are Ascendants as well. Like, I know that's really popping, and that's something that's also growing. So love to get that like TLDR on what it is and what you're working towards.
Absolutely, yeah. So great question about the Ascendants. So let me tell you guys how it started, right? So Rage Effect was doing well, and then my focus and not my focus, but my vision was always the reason why I started Rage Effect was to bring Counter Strike and bring it to Web3. Have these new markets and have these skins that, frankly, are worth billions of dollars. Right? It's $1 billion market, the CS:GO skin market. I was like, hey, what if we bring that to Web3? So I had all these visions and all these plans, and we had made all the projections, right, for what they could look like in Rage Effect, but we could never do that because, not to toot on a horn, but at some point last year we became, I guess, big to go on Web3 in that particular time because a lot of people were not fully accepting of it in our region. So it was like we were in this sort of pond where we had to stick with Web2. And that's where I thought, hey, what if we create a new universe that's parallel to Rage Effect? And, everything that I wanted to do with Rage in regards to Web3, we can do on this new universe. So that's how the Ascendants was birthed. And, everything that I wanted to do with Rage in terms of Web3, we're actually doing on Ascendants. And it's insane, man. I mean, it really is. The sky's the limit when you come to Web3. Something like Solana, which in my opinion is the greatest chain when it comes to consumer markets and even other things. I mean, gaming, etc., included. You look at the talent here. You look at the people here. You look at the ecosystem, and it's like there's so much you can do, right? And even then, I haven't seen a lot of Web2 concepts in terms of business being a part of this Web3 world. So I think, without giving too much away, I think there's potential for a lot of, I guess, new things in Web3 that a lot of people haven't seen yet, merging, of course, gaming, prediction markets, live streams, AI, all together. And that's kind of the intersection where I want to be. It's not just gaming, but all these different things. And that's what I'm able to do. Or that's what we're building with the Ascendants. So yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the roadmap for Ascendants, right? Like, where are you and what stage are you? And like, what are we expecting? When do we expect it as well, right? We just talked about crypto not wanting to wait. When do we get our hands on it, right?
Great question. So Ascendants, let's talk about the roadmap. So the roadmap, if you're talking about this year, we're gonna launch our trading card game. It's called Ascendants Legends. That's coming out very soon. The pre-launch is live. It's only we've given access to a select users, mostly KOLs, let's be frank about it, and a few community members who are very loyal from Rage Effect and the new Ascendants ecosystem. We're also going to have a new mint, an NFT mint for our Genesis gems. That's going to be the core collection for the entire ecosystem. It's a very small supply. It's 555. It unlocks everything in Rage Effect, unlocks everything in the Ascendants ecosystem, not just the trading card game, but everything else after that. So there's a lot of projects that we haven't announced yet, and I don't think we can even now, although I want to. But no, so it's a collection of games. The trading card game is the first game, right? We're gonna have AI agents, so they're gonna be your companions inside the game. They call Ascendant Pets. So they're gonna be your companions. You can essentially send them inside Ascendant's games, and they can play on your behalf. So they can stake assets on your behalf. They can basically win you money or lose you money while you're not playing the game. So you don't need to play the game yourself in order to do it. So it's more, we're looking at it as passive income AI agents. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's going to be Q2 next year.
Yeah, that's really unique to hear, right? Like I think that you're taking a different approach, or a very like an approach, again, tying a little bit of the Web3 like game development and also AI and everything. Where do you think right now, like given the roadmap, where do you think a lot of, like, let's just say the aha moment are for gamers with what Ascendance will be? Like I hear the roadmap, I hear the vision. You know, again, sometimes like when I say people like, you could tell it to me, but till I play it, till I know it, I'll have that really aha moment. But what is it that you're going to deliver, like the gaming, that unique experience that you're really like trying to give that aha moment to gamers?
Great question. So for me, when I look at this landscape in tech, right, I'm talking about AI, I'm talking about well, not to go there, but this is something I look into myself as well. It's biomedics, right? If you look into, well, gaming, you look into crypto and everything, Web3. There's just a lot of things going on at every moment, especially a moment like now where, you know, everything is sort of going up. Of course, now everyone's realized it's a bubble. It's about to burst. But for me, what I want to do is I'm collating all the things that I see working, and I'm trying to gel it together in a way that makes sense. So when that final product is achieved, I think that is going to be the aha moment. I'm talking about games where you can send in your AI pets, right, your AI agents, and they're playing on your behalf while you're playing a different game, and you're both collating XP that can unlock something else in the ecosystem, right? So it's creating that ecosystem that's not too complex, because I hate complexity of those sorts. Something that's easy to understand, but also is using all these different elements that you've seen around in singular projects. I think that's the aha moment here.
Yeah, and I think like for me, it's always like delivering a game experience that's always unique is always really, really cool. And then furthermore, implementing some of the Web3 stuff, because I do think that like Web3 can bring a better gaming experience, right? And it's not always about token, it's not always about NFTs, right? Like so many of us get really like stuck on that the token needs to have a game and games need to have tokens. And it's like, well, not every game, right? I think like with what you're bringing here, I think brings a different aspect to NFTs, digital collectibles, skins, however you want to put it. Like I think that there's a approach that could be very much, hey, look, like you don't have to lead with the token being something part of a game. The game itself could be also powered by Web3. And I think like, man, you know, just listen to like just the past like 10 minutes of what you said. I don't know how you feel about this, but for me, it's like we need Web 2.5 games and we need Web 3.0 games, right? We need like both of them in order for us in Web 3 gaming to like break through, right? We need the ones that onboard Web 2 normies slowly, and then the ones that are very much sure Web 3, and then of course full degen if you want to go full degen. But I think that's very much the approach that is very much needed in order for us to start breaking these barriers.
Yeah, I agree. I think there needs to be a proper segmentation between, like you said, Web 2.5 games, Web 3.0 games, right? And again, like degen gambling sort of games, I think that's just something that I'm not into. But there needs to be a proper segmentation, because, you know, the longest conversation in Web3 consumer Web3 has been mass adoption, right? And how are you going to bring mass adoption if people come in and they're confused between games that are Web 2.5 and Web 3 and further on, right? So I agree everything. I agree with everything you just said. And on the token part, we're actually launching a token tomorrow. No, I'm kidding. But no.
What's the ticker? All of a sudden, hey man, the views are now at 1,000 views right now. No.
But no, I mean, look, I agree. I don't see us doing a token anytime soon. For me, what matters is PMF. What matters is revenue, right? If you're making something that's sustainable by itself, and a token makes sense, you know, then we'll see. But yeah.
What do you, like from a founder, like you built one game before, you've been through the Web3 rodeo. What's the one, like couple things of like a learning that you're able to share to even the Web3 community, but other Web3 builders of building Rage Effect? And like, you know, you kind of know already like what you don't want to do again, what you do want to do again, what worked, what didn't work. With you, We Are Ascendance, like what is that like that you're able to share?
That's a really good question. Frankly, a lot of it is mental. A lot of it is mental. So let's take that aspect first, right? For founders, I would say, um, guys, if you're building something because you want to build it, stick with the vision, right? People are going to disagree. They're going to tell you to do something else, pivot or whatever. There's going to be narratives that you're going to want to chase, but you don't need to do that, right? So last year, I mean, Jorge, think about it, right? Last year, you know this, there was a big Telegram game meta, right? Like everyone started making TG games. And like our investors are coming to me, like my team members are coming to me. They're like, yo, let's do this. Let's make TG games. And for a while, I listened to it and I started speaking with people, and we actually made a few games. And I was like, I don't think it's going to stick. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. If you want to get users, okay. Like if you want to get more followers on Twitter, okay. But I don't think it's going to stick. So we didn't do that. And it was the right thing to do. So what I would say is like stick to your guns, right? Stick to your gut feeling. If you think you're making something that the world is going to like, then go for it. There's going to be distractions. There's going to be especially in crypto. Like every 2 weeks, something new pops up. So just stick to your guns, and if it's something that the people want, you're going to know.
Yeah, man, I think being an entrepreneur in Web3 is definitely one of those things that it's freaking hard, right? Because like you're like, oh, look at the butterfly, and it's like, oh, look at the plane. Oh my God, look at the red car that just drove by, right? It's like all these shiny things always get flashed in front of us. And I think, especially in gaming, we've seen a lot of metas come to the door and a lot of games to try to chase it. But by the time you chase anything in crypto, you know that you're just exit liquidity, right? At that point, you're that's all it is, right? You can never. So I think like, man, staying convicted, strong conviction towards what you're building. Hey, like this is what you want to do, like set it out to do it, right? I think that is why we are seeing some games right now, given where we are, finally going to be coming to market this coming year in 2026 of, hey, we're going to be coming out of the beta, the alpha, super early access, and going for a full release. And I think that like, when I see full release, I get excited because, for a project like you guys and everything, when we need to get Web 2 eyes on us, we need to give them case studies of what that looks like. What will it make sense? Like why, right? And I think that like, this is it. Like these are the case studies we need. Like for Web 2 guys to be like, oh, we get it. Oh, that makes sense. Like, oh, like, that's how the technology works, right? Because too many times I talk to Web 2 game developers and they're like, just why am I launching this token right now? Like, why would it help my game? And I'm like, dude, it's not the token. Like, let's not talk about it. So, I think it's one of those things, man. It's case studies that are very much needed. Talk to us a little bit about some of the player experiences. Like, talk to us a little bit about that with We Are Ascendants and like, the player you mentioned a lot of like the gameplay lore, kind of like what you're looking to enhance here. But what about the player experience that you're also looking to enhance using, of course, Web3 as well, but also using the Web2 very much the old-fashioned mechanics that exist?
Absolutely, yeah. So when it comes to Web2, I mean, Web2 is used to bring the core elements in, right? Something that people are accustomed to, something that they want, something that they've played for a lot of years. So that way you're reducing the churn or the dropout, right? The initial dropout, which is like the biggest thing you don't want to do. Or the biggest thing you do want to do rather is reduce the D1. So that's where the Web2 experience comes in, building a core product that people want to use. Web3, let's talk Web 2.5 first, right? So the new player experience that I'm looking at is being more lore driven and being more ecosystem driven. What that means is with Rage Effect, we had a very flimsy lore. Like it was never confirmed, but it was just something like, yeah, here's a basic sort of environment that you're in, and now here's Team Deathmatch and Free for All, so go do your thing, right? And I think that's also the kind of audience we encountered and sort of accumulated, in our communities, which didn't really care too much about the lore. It was just more about like having fun and playing the game. This is how it should be. With Ascendants, I think I'm taking it a step further, where we're really focused on the lore and we're focused on the ecosystem of what happens if you win a game like the trading card game. How does that correspond to Rage Effect, right? What can you win on Rage Effect, or how's winning on Rage Effect going to correspond to winning on Ascendance Bloodline, right? Which is a future project that's actually coming very soon as well. So all of these sort of are correlated, and there's one common sort of XP mechanism that we're building. Then how does that XP benefit the users, right? So there's a lot of things that are coming out soon, but that's like the core of the new user experience that I'm looking into that we did not have with Rage Effect yet.
Yeah. And I think like one thing we probably missed talking about, right? One thing that you also hit it very well with Rage Effect was accessibility, right? Being mobile. And I think like that has been a key to especially the region that you're building in. I think like too many people look at building games and don't know who their target audience is. And when they look at the target audience, then they're like, oh, wait, most of my demographics only have mobile, and I'm building a PC that requires a 5090. It's like, oh, okay, I don't know what product market fit will look like for them. But I think it's important that, Rage Effect, you guys nailed it with mobile. Is this Ascendance? Talk to us. Is it browser, mobile? How's that going to be?
Primarily browser, because we're looking into launching it on Web3 first, then abstraction, expanding it onto Web2, and that is where we bring accessibility. So that's where we sort of take that we've built on browser, build it on mobile. PC is going to be reserved for much later. I'm thinking like late 26, maybe 27. That's going to be like flagship products, flagship games,
Yeah. No, man, that's awesome. Congratulations, by the way. I don't think like people understand how hard some of this stuff is. And I think quality is something that you guys have done really, really well with. That thing, the credit needs to be given there, because the quality of Rage Effect was always something that like always, as we just saw it opening up. And I think you said it, bringing back memories to certain things and watching some of the trailers. It's like, man, like that was actually delivered, right? Like it wasn't a cinematic trailer. I think too many stuff gets cinematic trailer to us, and then it's like, the real product looks like, it's like the Instagram versus reality thing that you always like battle of, like, this is what you really get, this is what you saw. Back to Rage Effect. I know that we talked a little bit, good chunk of where Ascendance, but back to Rage Effect, mentioning the 2026 plans and mentioning 2025, a lot of building behind the scenes. What does 2026 look like, right? Like as a game developer, are you looking to like look at Rage Effect 2 or like bring different elements to Rage Effect, combine the different worlds between We Are Ascendance and Rage Effect? Like, is there some sort of like going to be some sort of tool or platform or like ecosystem studio that like allows you to take your XP and say, hey, like I'm a previous holder of this, or like, countless hours of Rage Effect? Like, talk to us a little bit about those behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fun part, right? That's where you're on the drawing board and you're figuring out how you can, take things on from there. Which is actually where we're at right now. So we're figuring that out. Now, what I would say is that we're having, I guess, very bullish conversations and negotiations at the moment. So can't share too much about future plans. And in full transparency, we're not too sure where we're going to go from here. In terms of a sequel, in terms of course, it's going to be connected to Ascendance, like that's a given. But how much further can we push the envelope, right? So that's a question that we're figuring out at the moment, and it's not just us as a studio; it's a couple others as well. So I think when the time is right, we'll announce it. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the alpha. As the people in the chat are asking me literally, when do we get access to the Solana? When do we get access, game access? I think we're getting, dude, all of them has been like, when do we get access? I want to try the Ascendance. Lore-driven games are my favorite. Rage Effect 2026 plans. Yeah, look, I think chat is pretty active right now. Look, I know we're coming around the 30-minute marker, and I want to be conscious of your time. And any in real life plans coming up for the next year? I know Breakpoint's coming up at the end of the year. It's actually 21 days away. I think like what other activities are you looking at in real life? That's a very much Web3 activation or conference. As Web3 gaming is building out, you're starting to realize also that maybe it's time to attend some Web 2 conferences and GDC and like Gamescom and all these things, which, you know, have been very much eye-opening for anybody that's from Web 3 looking at Web 2 and looking at marketing, looking at product market fit. What is those plans for you guys as well?
Absolutely. So I was at Gamescom Asia in Bangkok, but next year I'll be at GDC. Of course, both the tokens, that's Dubai as well as Singapore, from over there. What else? Yeah, I mean, there's IGDC, which is India's GDC, so that's like an annual thing I have to go to. But I mean, Solana point.
What was Gamescom Bangkok like? Anything that like you walked out of that and we were like, holy crap, like, you know, either we're missing the mark or we're actually hitting the mark?
I think it was very esports oriented, and I think there's not to get too political, because that's, you know, how it gets in esports, unfortunately. But like what I learned were two main things. One is that the esports market in Asia is going to change drastically very soon, because of like certain actors who are, there's going to be like purchasing and acquisition, let's put it that way. So that market is going to change very soon. It's going to go down a bit. And then number two, Malaysia is like insane when it comes to development and like making games. I had no idea. Like, there, in case there are any, you know, founders or people who are interested in gaming and want to create their own games, Malaysia is like insane. I actually went to Kuala Lumpur after, and I was like, this is crazy. I met a lot of studios there. In terms of like the games, I think, yeah, I mean, nothing that was like too standoutish, but I also didn't spend too much time. I was there for like one day. But yeah.
Yeah, man. No, I think it's always like, I think that's it. You nailed something that really kind of hit me when you said esports, right?
Yeah.
I think that like there are regions in the world that esports lives very well, right? And I think people in the space love to always say esports is a dead business. If it was a dead business, it wouldn't be around, right? Like at the end of the day, like it's a business that is definitely very hard to be lucrative. I'll tell you that. It's really tough to be lucrative in esports. But that's it. There's parts of the world where it's super lucrative for esports teams because, again, the dollar goes a lot further in certain parts of the region. So esports thrives better in other parts of the world. And I tell people, like, you can't always compare it. Like, everybody always wants to compare it to America. And I'm just like, yeah, like $100,000 in America versus $100,000 in some parts of the world, man, that's like, you know, $1 million. And like, you go a lot further. So I'm glad you kind of mentioned esports, and it's good perspective to see like, hey, you know, there is a growing scene. Esports is still very much something that like is watched at home, right? Especially like in the Asia, Latin America markets. Like I tell you, like, you know, sports and esports are something that's still very much like a family thing to do, right? It's like versus in America, like you don't really have that much of like, hey, let's watch an esports tournament this weekend, or like let's watch gamers game and stuff like that. And I think like, man, it's these kind of conversations that really bring to light like how different cultures and different regions of the world operate, especially around gaming.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what, in terms of alpha, like I'll move away from Gold Dawn and, you know, Rage and Ascendance. But just esports alpha, I'm not sure who might be interested in this, but this is super early, by the way. In terms of esports geographically and Asia especially, Saudi Arabia is gonna like blast it off. They're picking up on esports and they're investing a lot of money. Yeah, I think they'll turn it around, and it's gonna be much more bigger in a couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we got a SWAT Navy SEAL 6 in our Solana Gaming Discord. So I think like those guys are probably watching this right now and getting prepped and saying, okay, put me in, coach. We're ready to, you know, tackle those guys. So, man, Karan, I appreciate your time, man. Always great to catch up. Always great to hear about Rage Effect, Rear Ascendance. Let us definitely keep us up with the alpha, because we definitely want to be evolved. We definitely want to be partake in the next season or the next pass that you guys have as well. Like, we want to be able to join and game as well. And then see you in Abu Dhabi in 21 days or what?
I can't be there this year.
Oh, man. All
When I got
right.
home,
I was gonna tell you, man, we got to do a one-on-one on Rage Effect out in Abu Dhabi, but I get it. You got scared, you got nervous. It happens.
yeah,
Anytime I tell people somebody they want a game with me, they get nervous, they get scared.
that's exactly it, man.
All right, man. Twitter, we are Ascendants. That's make sure we follow the right one because the other account is compromised. So we are Ascendants on Twitter, YouTube, Rage Effecto as well. That's perfectly running still. And any other socials that we should be aware of?
No, for the most part, it's Twitter via Ascendance, and all communications will be taken care of from there.
Awesome. Well, Karn, appreciate your time again, man. And man, thanks for the alpha.
Absolutely. All right. This was a pleasure as always. We'll speak soon.